Whatever path you were on, whatever inspired you to come here today, we honor you and we welcome you. And now, our message.
I'd like to just open us up with a little evocation to tap into that desire within you to expand, that desire that you have within you to be more, to experience more, to give more, to love more. So let us tune into that idea. How can I show up in a more abundant way? Let's take a breath together, breathing in and exhaling. So as we arrive right here and right now, as we connect with this community, this group of like-minded people that want to open the top of the box and step out, that want to experience spiritual liberation and do it with fun, prosperity, creativity, innovation. Let us connect at that vibration, that level, that frequency right now. And as we close the door to the past and close the door to the future and bring our awareness into this moment, fully present, I invite you to activate that deep listening, activate your inner ear, that you may hear something today. Maybe it's the music, or maybe it was something that Michael said, or maybe it'll be from the person sitting next to you. Or maybe it will be over a cup of coffee after the service. Or maybe it will happen later this afternoon. But whatever your soul wants to hear, wants to become awakened to you today, to your mind, may you hear that today. May you have the ears to hear that which is seeking to be heard. So it's with that awareness of there could be something here today. There could be something here today that can change my life. There probably is, if I am paying close enough attention. If I am looking with a heightened awareness, a reverential alertness, with excited anticipation, like the universe is about to whisper its biggest secret. Let us be that focused today. As Reverend Lyle shares his message of natural abundance, know that he is completely supported in offering this message, and that we are receptive to hearing. And as we shift in consciousness, we become the change, we become the lights that the world needs now. And for this we're blessed. Taking another breath.
Finally, it's my turn. Well, with all of the announcements and the dancing and all of the fun and everything that we're all having, I'm going to try my best to try and get you out of here by 1 o'clock. So the title of my talk today was Natural Abundance, and I think the first thing that came up for me, and I had this thought of Carl Sagan a long time ago, and I used to listen to him, and he talked about billions and billions. I was going to use that, but I didn't know if everyone would get the reference, so I just decided to stay with natural abundance. Natural abundance, and when I first thought of this, and some people that know me a little better might know that I'm a little bit of a science, math, or engineering brain, kind of a nerdy person, so that stuff really, really excites me. Numbers and science and stuff, so if it doesn't excite you, maybe you can just ride along with my excitement and enjoy the talk. Anyway, I remembered going back to when I first found religious science, when I first went to my first Science of Mind church. A big reason for me going there was because my background when I was a child in a very traditional Christian church was not answering a lot of the questions for me. There was not a lot of logical answers for questions that I had about God, about the state of heaven, where it existed, and what I had to do to get there. And a lot of that didn't make sense to me. And being an auditory person, being an engineering left brain type person, I needed answers. And so science answered a lot of those things for me. And I thought, that there's so much in the universe that I didn't even know or understand. So when this topic came up, the first place that my mind went was to the vastness, to the great abundance of the universe, of all that exists here and outside of Earth and our little solar system. And I thought, what a minuscule view we have of the universe, and how limited our concept of it is, or even our part in it. So part of what really excited me about talking about this was to share a little bit with you about the universe and the vastness of it. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time with some numbers and some ideas to give you just a concept of how big this is. You know, we exist within this little galaxy called the Milky Way. And within that galaxy, and you've probably seen pictures in a book, and there's a bunch of little stars in there, and somewhere within all those stars is our sun and our little solar system that circles around that. You know, there's hundreds of stars in our galaxy, or thousands of stars in our galaxy. Actually, there's
Hundreds of thousands.
millions of stars in our galaxy. No, the truth is there's over 100 billion stars in our galaxy. 100 billion stars. And the closest in that galaxy star to our sun is Proxima Centauri, which is part of the Alpha Centauri cluster. That star, next to our star, remember that little galaxy of ours? It's 1 trillion miles away. Jesus. Yes. So within our galaxy, the true closest is 1 trillion miles away. And the nearest galaxy to our Milky Way, sitting here with all of our little stars, there's Andromeda galaxy outside of our galaxy. And you think,
Turn your phones off.
Andromeda stalling.
That was the sound of abundance.
No, it's not a trillion miles away, or, you know, 1 million miles away, galaxy to galaxy. It is 2 million light years away. Do you know what a light year is? It's how far light can travel in a year. Travels at 186,000 miles a second. So second by second by second, and how far will that light go in a year? So from our galaxy to the next galaxy, 2 million light years. It is huge. It is almost beyond comprehension. So I think all of that distance between each individual star within our galaxy and the distance to the next galaxy, and Andromeda has over 1 trillion stars in their galaxy. And do you know that we now have come to understand or to realize that there are 1 billion other galaxies? I mean, the idea is staggering how much there is. And how much there is outside of us in these celestial bodies, and how much there is just within our own bodies. Do you know you're made up of cells. You see the body and you see the person, and here you think here's an entity, a unit, a person, but it's made up of tiny, tiny little particles, cells, genes, membranes, proteins. That in a body that exists, like this body here, there's over different things that I've read, but somewhere between 15 and 50 trillion cells that make up your body. 15 trillion, and so I did the math real quick. I was talking about it earlier, and it's like a mental to try and have an equivalent of how much that is. I had 15 trillion or 50 trillion cells in my body. If I had, let's use money. Talking about money is fun. If I had a pallet full of $1 million, just money stacked on there, $20 bills or something, you'd have this huge pallet of money. That's $1 million. If you wanted to look at and see $1 billion, you would have to stack these pallets, if it's a 4.5 foot pallet or something about that size, from here to the freeway, and you'd have $1 billion. To have $1 trillion, you're going to go from here, we're probably not going to be able to go west and go south and go all the way to Salt Lake City to have that much. But you have within your body 50 trillion cells. It's mind-blowing. It is immense, and it's a natural abundance. Pam talked a couple of weeks ago about the trillions of cells in our bodies, and how what they are doing is trying to all vibrationally work with each other, to align with each other. And according to Esther Hicks and Abraham, the feeling of happiness that we get in our lives, when you have that feeling of happiness, it is when you are in alignment, when you are vibrationally aligned. That's when you get that feeling, or when we did meditation this morning, when you can breathe, and that's when you're in balance. That's when you're in harmony. Now, according to Bruce Lipton, and he's been in some of the Science of Mind magazines, and you may have read about him. He's a stem cell biologist, written many articles about cells and the workings of the body. Well, he said that each of our cells, of those trillions and trillions of cells, they have the intelligence to survive on their own. The cells have the intelligence to survive on their own without your big brain that you think controls it all. That they actively seek what can support their survival. I found that amazing. He said that virtually every cell possesses the functional equivalent of our nervous system, of our digestive system, of our respiratory, circulatory, skeletal, muscle, reproductive, and immune systems. Each cell. And that single cells are capable of learning through experience, of creating. Millions of years ago, there were single-cell organisms before there were animals and plants and people. And they formed colonies of these single-cell and multicellular organisms that became what we are today. Until they created people, animals, trees, and they were called smart cells. And the smart cells created structured environments and divided functions and tasks to survive, to adapt. Natural abundance on a huge scale. So we are amazingly abundant just in our makeup, in our smart cells that make the decisions for us to survive, even without us and our big brains getting in the way. So in our environment that we as humans create, when it doesn't support us, well, not just the physical environment that doesn't support us, but mentally or emotionally, when it's not supporting us. When we're depressed, or when we're sick, or when we have relationship problems, what do we tend to do? Dr. Lipton was talking about what the cells tend to do, to seek a way for survival. And Lipton had always said, look first to the environment, but not to the cell itself. And I thought it should be the same for us. We, the real we, the spiritual we, are not sick or depressed or having relationship problems. That is created through our thoughts, through our thinking, our beliefs, practices. Those are the things that are not supporting us. So change that. Change your thoughts. Change your life. Don't change the physical cell of you. It's the thought that has the energy that creates in your life. And you have trillions of them. Use them. And don't beat yourself up. So the cells are smart, but they don't control our behavioral activities, our learning abilities, our reasoning and adapting. That's something else. And I thought, I think we're all looking for that. We're all looking to find or get in touch with our spiritual selves, with that inner source. And I thought, in all that magnificence, all that natural abundance, in the skies or in our bodies, why do we act so small? Why are we so at the effect? The mystery of our cells communicating is part of the answer. How the universe works, how the natural law of abundance works. And how much are we at the effect of it? Sherry was here earlier, and I talked a little bit about, the math and the universe and the greatness and the abundance, and she said, my son is a math person, he's a mathematician, and he did all of the studying, and he took all of the math, and math explains, how things unite and how they grow in the universe and the planets and spinning and everything. Math explains it all. But then he got to a certain point of his studies, and he discovered that there's something more, that there's something else beyond just explaining it all. Now she said he's not a religious person, he doesn't believe in God, but he said there's something else. There is a power greater than us, Michael said. And we can use it. We can touch it. We can affect it. The mystery of how those cells communicate, the trillions of cells in our body, how they communicate to each other to survive. That's where that mystery lies, that science has not been able to answer it. The more you practice that mystery of all of that, the more it works for you. And I think with all of our spiritual work, and sometimes in all the years that we have studied, we're beginning to get glimpses of that oneness outside of ourselves that makes a difference, that changes through our thoughts. And we're all looking to find that place we call home. And I think that place is within you, or that you're looking for. That energy of that thought, that vibrational force that affects other vibrational forces of like kind and produces and manifests in the physical world. Love begets love, abundance begets abundance. Sort of like when you come here, this is maybe a simple example of you come here and you share your time and your tithes and your talent and your money, and someone else comes into the center and is greeted by that, and they feel at home because that's touched them, and they open up to something and they hire you so you make more money, so then you're happier, you tithe more to the center, and the center moves down the road to a bigger building, which attracts other people, which support you, and it's like that. That's the growth and the abundance of the world and the naturalness of it. And yeah, that's very physical and but it happens on the emotional, spiritual level too. So if you know about the law of abundance, and if you believe it, why aren't we using it all the time? Why are we not manifesting from that place all the time? If someone were to look in from the outside and look down and see our lives, would they say, you can tell by the way they're living that they believe that, that's what they think? Would they be able to look at your life and say, they get it? And there are things, consciousness, even, the world consciousness has an effect, yes. But you can change, and we as a group can change that too. There are limiting belief systems, I know that. But that's all mental thought. There's a lot of agreement out there. There's agreement in here too amongst us. That makes a difference. So you can change your thoughts and change your life. Remember, you don't need to create abundance. Abundance exists. Just by some of those things I was throwing out at you there, those numbers and the vastness of the universe and your life and your physical body, just to imagine all of that is more than enough proof for me that abundance exists in all forms. You just have to let it in. You just have to open up and let it in. Even if you don't in God or some spiritual entity or being, whatever you want to call it. Just those things that I talked about. Wondering how our cells communicate, wondering how life happens, how we're able to do all those things we do. That there is life and there is more. I'm going to keep you till 1. I'm going to stop at 12. I'm going to read one little quote, and then I'm going to close with prayer. This was from Abraham. And he said, "The universe is abundant with everything you want. It's not testing you. It's benevolent and providing for you. But you are the orchestrator. You are the definer. And you do it through your joyous anticipation. If there is an emotion that you are wanting to foster that would serve you very, very well, it is positive expectation. It is excited anticipation." So join with me for a moment and just let's close. Take a moment and realize, just take a little glimpse, you can't take it all in. Realize the abundance of the universe, the abundance of your very body and your life, and how you are touched by all that universal energy and vibration, all the frequencies of this expanding, creating, manifesting universe. You are an individualized spirit on this plane, experiencing right now, and you have huge powers to understand, to think, to create, to attract, to be in full realization of your abundance. It is, in a word, love manifesting through you. I see this, I know this. And at most times, I am this. Get our selves out of the way and let the richness of Spirit express through us. Let that vibrational harmony exist in us. Let it flow through and manifest through us and create our deepest desires, our heartfelt wants of peace and calm and joy, of love, of abundance. The realization is there. Open your heart, your eyes, open your mind, and let it flow. So it is. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you for blessing us with your presence today and being a part of the Satya Center. You're invited to join Reverend Ali and Reverend Lyle each Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for your dose of connection, inspiration, and co-creation. The Satya Center is located at 795 24th Street, Ogden, Utah. For directions, a map, and our service times, please see our website, thesatyacenter.org. This program was brought to you by the kind donations from the members of the Satya Center. Thank you.